and a 1. What's happening, YouTube? Look who you got in the building. It's the honorary member of the Life Gain Avengers of Current Culture. It's the homegirl Moochella, y'all's favorite homegirl. Moochie, how you feeling tonight?
Hey everybody, what's up?
Oh my Lord.
What's up from Queens?
Oh
From
my
NYC.
Lord. Boy. When folks get them a YouTube channel, you notice how the hair get all perm perfect.
Yeah,
The
I have
glass
to learn how to trim
shining.
now.
Oh God Almighty,
Be all
y'all.
primped and proper.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're glad to have her. And look who done popped up in here. It's the good homie Larry, living legend. Larry, what's going on?
How you doing? Hey man, I'm good. Give me a quick second. I'll be right back.
Take your time. Mike Willie.
My bad. I'm sorry.
Mike Willie already done came through with a super chat, y'all. What is good, Mike Willie? I appreciate that, my home brother. Show enough next time you come through North Carolina, hit me up. We've got Alex in the building. We've got Kenya Perry in the building. D Weave. Whole family's here. Ralph's in the building. Moochella, are you ready to talk Godfather of Harlem season 2?
Yes, I am.
How did you like the episode last night?
Yesterday's episode had some OS moments where you that's what it had.
Mm-hmm. And happy birthday to Nita in the house. It's her birthday today. She gets a back-to-back holiday. She gets Mother's Day, then she gets birthday, and she just so happens to be a Taurus. Be sure to subscribe to her channel. Link is in description. Tressa C is in the building. Mo is in the building. Been following us because we do this Godfather of Harlem thing. So Moochie, I've enjoyed this whole entire season of Godfather of Harlem. Each episode has just about felt like a climax episode.
Yes.
But here's the issue I got, Moochie.
What's your issue?
Every time the mob throws a curveball at Bumpy, he's able to strategically play chess and then turn into the Godfather of Harlem and figure out a way out of everything. I'm getting a little worried that they're allowing him to outsmart these people at every turn. And I'm going to tell you why I say that. Because now it's beginning to get predictable. Whenever he's pushed into a corner, he's going to figure his way out of it same episode. What do you feel about that?
So you feel like it's like becoming like a Cape Crusader thing? Like
Cape
Batman?
Crusader, yeah, it's becoming a comic.
I figure I'd throw that in here since we do Marvel on this channel.
Yeah, it is. It is becoming Cape Crusader because Bumpy is figuring out he stays 3 steps in front of the mob every turn. And we're talking 3 episodes. They had his back up against the wall, really 4, all 4. And he's been able to strategically be 2 steps in front of them. And I feel like it's starting to get a monotonous feel. But the action within it is still great, just like a Marvel movie. Shouts out to D Weave, leaving the brother $9.99. Man, I love y'all in these $9.99s, man. Y'all ain't even requiring me to take off nothing. That's what I appreciate about that.
Shout out to Herman Cain. 999.
Nah, don't shout out to Herman Cain, y'all. He's dead. Rest in peace to him. Big Larry. How you feeling about season 2? Episode 4, Godfather of Harlem. How'd you like the episode?
Man, this episode was so good. This was a strong episode, man. Yeah, it was one of those great episodes where they didn't have to lean on any crazy shootouts or anything like that. It was just good, solid storytelling. Just fantastic. It was really good. Great acting. The interplay between Bumpy and Chin was really great. I mean, they really did a fantastic job of sort of leading us on and then not letting us down.
Exactly. I wholeheartedly agree. So, ladies and gentlemen, the way we're going to break down this review of episode 4, normally we bounce all over the place. And on some shows, I'm fine with that. And I'm fine with us bouncing all over the place on this one. But I want it to be more strategic in the way we bounce around. So what we're going to do, we're going to take individual characters and their story arc and break those down. And of course, we'll leave Bumpy and Chin for the end.
That's what's up.
Y'all ready to do this?
All right.
Let's do it. Who we getting first? Can we get that Mamie?
Let me see who I Absolutely, we got her story lined up first. But before we do that,
first, right?
Yeah, before we do that, let's give everybody an overview of what went down and what made this episode so good last night.
The partner fair. You think he's being unfair to me? I give you 60-40. We need to talk business. We can beat Lucchese and Gambino at their own game. Come on. Partner with me and Bonanno. I have a favor. I'd like you to stay at the temple. Be my eyes and ears about what mischief they're cooking up.
I was having lunch with Delia. I mentioned Benny's dead. What are we to?
Ho, ho, ho. Woo, woo. And so we're going to start out right where Larry wants us to pick up at, and that is talking about Mamie Johnson and this ongoing thing she had with one of Bumpy's side pieces, Amy Vanderbilt. But before we do that, do y'all know that not only was Bumpy sliding into Amy Vanderbilt, but can anyone tell me who this young lady right here is?
That's Lena Horne.
Yeah.
Bumpy Johnson was tagging Lena Horne too. Bumpy was getting it in with a whole lot of these chicks. Yeah, man.
I want to see how the real dude look.
You never seen the real Bumpy Johnson?
No, I never seen the real one.
Oh, well, damn. If I would have known that, I got you before we get off. I got you. So I'm going to come to you,
I looked up Adam Clayton Powell, but I didn't see how he looked.
Okay. Well, but Moochie, I'm going to come to you first. So if you didn't watch last season, this is Amy Vanderbilt. She has a thing for chocolate. And what do we say on this channel, Moochie? Once you go black, you don't what?
You don't go back. You don't once that chocolate. Well, the chocolate dipped into her.
And this is 100% Keiko chocolate, ladies and gentlemen, but it tastes sweet. It's real sweet. And so she got a thing in with Bumpy Johnson, and of course, Mamie found out. So Adam Clayton Powell has her come into town because she has an interview with Mike Wallace. All right. And this interview, she's going to be discussing some of the plights of African Americans. However, Adam Clayton Powell wants Mamie to break down what it really means to be an African American and a woman African American, because Amy Vanderbilt has some other ambitions she wants to get across along with her speech on African Americans' plight. Muchella, break down that whole entire scene, how unrealistic it felt for you for those two to work together. How realistic did it feel? And did you like the way Mamie and Amy Vanderbilt both went on the Mike Wallace show after your boy Bumpy stepped in and said, y'all both going?
I have a rebuttal with what you said, like you think it's not possible, but Mamie is so classy that she's not. It wouldn't have never been a cat fight. Let's just go there.
Okay.
She's too classy for that.
Okay.
And she knows how to cut people up with her words.
Yeah.
So just like when she said last year, why sometimes he likes to go out for a greasy burger when he has steak at home.
Oh Lord, no, she did. Lord have mercy, Lord, Moochie be writing down all of them.
My trusty book.
Moochie. So Mamie was basically saying that Amy, which is right here, she was basically saying she was a greasy burger when she had all this steak right, all this prime rib right here.
Exactly. A greasy burger from the greasy spoon.
You know it's funny, right? In that scene when Amy walked into the Geechee with Adam Clayton Powell, I was like, I didn't even recognize her as a white chick. I looked at her and I was like, oh damn, who's this cute ass freaking Creole chick he's got with her?
Oh Lord,
because she looked like she was mixed or something. She didn't look like some generic white chick to me. Mm-hmm. I thought she was some Creole chick or something he didn't found. Mm-hmm. So, and then when he started speaking and I realized, oh right, this is the chick that Bumpy had been messing with. So yeah. Then I remembered.
So, Larry, give me your thoughts on that entire scene, the dynamic between Mrs. Vanderbilt and Mamie. And what was the changing point? Because Mamie was hell bent she wasn't going to work with her. What was the convincing point that got Mamie to be like, you know what? Let me take advantage of this.
I think the changing point was Mamie realized I have an opportunity. I can be mad or I can use her. You know,
good point.
She's rich, she's white, and she's from an influential family, and I can put my words into her mouth. I could use her, and so I think that's what she decided to do. And we saw that. We saw that when she was at Mamie's house, and right when Bumpy came in, and Amy started basically saying all the things that she wanted that Mamie wanted her to say, and she looked over at her, approved, like, did I say it right? Did I get all the points right? Do you approve? It was like it was like that Mamie, it was like Mamie had her hand up her back as a puppet, and she was up there and having her say all the words she wanted her to say. And so I mean that's, and I think Mamie at the same time was smart. She was like, look, I know this chick is a hoe. It's best for me to have her close to me instead of letting her run around Harlem, on her own, where she might bump into my husband again or somebody else's husband. It's best just to keep this hoe close. And so I think there were multiple reasons why she agreed to help. But I think the first and foremost, it was what Mamie said in the show, which was, I'm here for the cause. This is my cause. This is the cause of Black folks, and I'm here for that, even if it means having to work with the likes of you.
Right.
Now,
go ahead, Mooch.
And also, Vanderbilt tried to flip it and make it a woman's issue, and she said, "No, I'm a woman, but I'm Black, and even if once your issues will be solved, I'll still be Black." And I like that they put that factor in, because that's how they got a lot of Black women back in the days to get on these social issues, these women issues. They would convince them to do that.
Well, that's part of the whole history with the women's rights movement, is that the women's rights movement for a long time had Black women in there. But once it came push comes to shove about whether or not Black women are going to get the same rights, then all of a sudden the white women said, you know what, we're more interested in having our rights and having the rights of all women. So we're just going to go ahead and kick the Black women to the curb. And there's a real sordid and ugly history in the women's rights issues with Black and white women. And we got to see a little bit of this, and part of this was Mamie was educated in understanding of that history, because all that happened before this period of time. I mean, the whole women's rights thing when it first started was back, I think, in like the teens and the 20s, and Mamie was fully understanding of what was going on. So she was like, "Nah, I'm not getting played. I know what your deal is, I understand I understand the history of the women's rights movement, and I'm still going to be Black."
And what she did was she basically quizzed Mrs. Vanderbilt on, do you know anything really and truly about Black culture? Have you read any of the books? Zora Neale Hurston. She went down a list of all the books to give this woman foundation. She hadn't read none of them.
Not just Black history. It was the movement and the struggle in regards to Black women, because she's fashioning herself as this feminist, this women's rights person, but she's not taking into consideration that she's only learning about the history of white women in this country. And that's where Mamie was like, have you read this book or that book? If not, then you don't fully understand the women's rights movement, because you're only understanding the white women's rights movement. You don't understand the Black side of this. No.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that dynamic between those two. And there's going to be more to come, but we've got some other characters I want us to have
wait, before you leave that issue.
Go ahead.
I know with being that's under the Mamie umbrella, did you see Bumpy's face when he walked into the apartment and saw them both at the table?
Of course,
he looked like he was caught out there.
Oh my goodness!
He had to be like, well, he was like, well, what are you ladies doing?
He fixed it. He fixed it, and he did have that look on his face like a black man that was peeing in 32-degree weather. He caught it, and then he fixed it, and then he turned it around for the positive. I enjoyed. That's why I opened with that particular statement.
I loved how the filmmakers in this and the writers in this episode brought in those two parallels where you had first in that episode you had the scene with Malcolm with Elise and Betty in the house at the same time, and Betty was thinking that he was having an affair with Elise, and then they moved to that same sort of dynamic with Amy and Mamie, except we know that Bumpy already actually had an affair with Amy, but he's not currently. But you went from that one dynamic to a guy who's honorable and didn't do it to a guy who was completely dishonorable and was messing all kinds around. So
right,
it was just interesting though how because you have those two friends who were very different people, but they're still friends, and yet they're still sort of stuck in the same situation with two women. Both of them are married. Both people are thinking they're having affairs and all this. So it was still very interesting and sort of different in the same time because Mamie really believed that Bumpy was no longer with her. Because, when Amy went and talked to her, she was like, I am no longer with your husband. That's long gone. I'm not doing that anymore. And then on the other end, with Malcolm, who's a very honorable man, his wife is unsure. She's like, why are people sending me letters? Now, I don't mean to jump ahead, but it was just I like that.
The horse, Larry.
Yeah, but it's all playing into that same thing with Mamie and Amy. It's all playing in together. So
yeah. Moving right along.
Mamie.
Here
Amy.
we go to my girl. Lord have mercy. She done hopped in bed with Teddy. Damn. I mean Ernie, excuse me. Ernie. So Ernie's grilling her.
No, not yet, but it's gonna happen.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna jump on y'all's side. I've been fighting this, but I do think that they're gonna smash. I've been fighting it, but I think it's gonna happen. And so in this episode, they're going through the aftermath of killing Mr. Deliver the orange juice and don't squeeze it. They killed him. The man who killed Teddy. Yep. And Ernie is grilling her saying, did you tell anybody? We got to play it cool. We can handle this, yada, yada, yada. That's when she slips up and said, I went and told Teddy's mama what we was going to do. And Ernie looked like he was shitting bricks. Oh my God. The look on Ernie's face was pure disaster.
And he finally got a haircut.
He got him a haircut, this is him making that move. He trying to get them panty draws. He can smell the panty draws. He trying to get them. And so when she tells him that she told Teddy's mom, he lost it, and they basically devised a plan. And when this plan came up, I'm sitting here saying to myself, Stella, how stupid can you be? This man just killed somebody on your behalf. And you're going to tell him where this woman live at? She did. He rose up. He whips out the gun. But ladies and gentlemen, the mom decided to take the money. And I don't know if she's going to go. I got a feeling I don't think she's going to bounce. But Larry,
that's a little generous to say she decided to take the money.
Hey man, you got to add your own spin on these reviews. You know what I'm saying? Spin on the review. So Larry, I'm coming to you. Break down this dynamic and this storyline for us before we go to Mooch.
Yeah, I felt like this is another one of those things where you have like just I don't want to go racial on it, but it is. It's sort of one of those racial differences where somebody is so completely clueless and unaware is because of their privilege. They just didn't even think like, oh, maybe I should just never tell her. Maybe I should just go ahead and do this thing that I'm going to do. And when she reads it in the newspaper, she can just be happy, Mm-hmm. And maybe she'll wonder if I had something to do with it or anybody else had something to do with it, but it won't matter because she wouldn't have known or have anything to do with it. She can just simply smile and know that the dude who killed her son is dead. But no, she had to go up there and try to assuage her conscience and ask for permission. And then she has to go and mention it to Ernie that she told her. She should have just kept her mouth shut the entire time. And if she couldn't keep her mouth shut in the beginning, then she should have kept it and closed in the middle, and just said and just left it alone. Never told Ernie that she told this woman, and just let it be. You know, I can't imagine this woman running to the police and saying, "Oh, my son's murderer was killed," you know, and I think I might know who did it. She's gonna be like, "Man, F that dude," you know.
Pretty much.
So she should have just let it be. Instead, she had to go ahead and say something, and now Ernie's up there with a gun in the back of her head and sending her away with a suitcase full of money. And as she said, she didn't want to leave New York. Her son's dead. Her whole family's in New York. She didn't want to leave.
That gun and the money did the convincing, though.
I'll tell you right now, though, back then, somebody gave me a suitcase full of money and told me to get out of town. I'd have been in Paris by the next day.
She told him,
like, man, I'm F America. I'm out.
But man, this is 1968, dude.
Yeah, I would have been following.
That's a lot of money back in those days.
They only gave you 5 G's in 68. 5 G's.
68, that was enough to buy a house.
That was a lot of money back in those days.
That was enough to buy a house.
Okay, but how you gonna live then? You gonna live off the government? You gonna go work at McDonald's? What you gonna do next?
She was already a maid. And she was a maid already, so she could get money like that anywhere.
Like I said, I would have left the country. I would have got me a passport, and I would have gone on the Josephine Baker Trail and took myself to Paris and never looked back.
I would have said, hell no, go back and get 100 stacks. 100 bands, I'm gone.
He was ready to kill her. If she said, I need more money, he would have been like, all right, cool. But shot her and left her up there up to rot. And somebody would have found her 2 days later when they came to remove their laundry, and it would have been just written off as another dead black person in New York.
And I really thought he was going to shoot her at first. I really did.
I didn't. I
thought he was. But he knew that would have pissed Stella off.
Yep. But I mean, Stella should be pissed off anyway, because I'm telling you, Teddy Mama ain't gone. She's not gone. She's not going. I don't think she's going to be a witness, but I definitely don't think she's gone.
Maybe not. I don't think Ernie's I don't think he's a bad guy like some of these other dudes. I feel like with Ernie, if Stella said, I'll be with you, I'll marry you, but I'm only going to do it if you're out the game. We need to go somewhere else and get you out the game. I bet you he'd be like, cool, I'm done. I'm out. I'll go back to college, or I'll get a job in a factory if it means I get to be with you. I don't think it's in him. I think he's doing it because that's what he does, because that's the neighborhood he's from. But I don't think it's in him. I don't think he's a gangster at heart.
Me neither. Moochie, what you got to say about this situation?
Okay, everybody in the chat, this is one of my first questions for the night. Will Ernie and Stella get caught for killing Benny Eggs? I'm gonna start with that. Will they get caught? Like, meaning, like, will
get caught? I think they're gonna fess up to Chin. I think they're going to fess up to Chin. I think they may tell him a half story at first. Like, they could just be honest with him and say, look, Ernie could just be like, look, Chin, I was up there, I was up there with him running this racket, whatever that was they were doing, making the movies and whatnot. And Stella showed up, and he got mad and said something crazy and told me to shoot her. And I wasn't going to shoot your daughter, so I had no choice. It was either he told me to shoot her, so if I didn't shoot her, he was gonna shoot me. I didn't have a choice. The only thing I could do was shoot him. So you gonna get mad? You gonna put me out there for shooting a made man when he was basically telling me to kill your daughter? He can leave. You can leave the part out where Stella pulled a gun on him. He don't need to know that.
So that's going to be the wild card part when Chin finds out who's going to get the wrath, if anybody's going to get the wrath.
Maybe Chin's gonna send Stella to Harlem to go be protected by Bumpy, since that's his new best friend.
Well, someone in the chat said Chin will pay the price for that.
He might.
Chin's gonna pay the price for a whole bunch of stuff. It may not. That might be the excuse they give. Right. But Chin's gonna pay the price for that heroin deal and messing with Bumpy.
No, but we gonna get back to him. I don't get off the horse, Larry.
We'll get to him, but let's move on to something Larry's already talked about. That was just another great storyline in this episode. The good brother Malcolm. He done been kicked out of the nation, and now they're trying to smear this man's name. So when we first see Malcolm, he walks in the door, wife Shabazz hands him mail, says, look, this letter came for you. And it's from Bumpy's daughter, and it said, "I love you," blah blah blah, all this stuff. Man, he tells the wife, "Look, there's pressure on us. Everybody's out to get me, blah blah blah, yada yada." She really ain't feeling it because they've already had troubles at home, and she feels like he's not been spending enough time with the kids anyway. So it's very easy for someone's mind to wander in the wrong direction when they feel neglected. Of course they feel like that. But to get on with his story, he goes and meets with Bumpy's daughter and just explains to her what's going on. And let me tell y'all something. Everybody on this panel knew that she loves him. Everybody knew that. She's willing to go wherever this man is going to go. She was about to get out of the nation. And then he says no because he needs someone he can trust on the inside. And of course she did it. So then she goes back to the nation. They tried to grill this sister. They tried to kick her out. And she gave an impassioned speech that turned around this Ninja Turtle looking motherfucker right here. This guy right here in the middle.
He makes me sick. He makes me
looking just like Raphael from the Ninja Turtles. He decides to let her stay. Okay. But on the very end, you see a brother down there who is let's be honest, everybody's hating on Malcolm. They're all jealous of him. So to make this very long story short, they're very jealous. One of these brothers tries to put a bomb inside his car, a device, and Malcolm found out, put a gun to his head and be like, "Bro, get out my car." Malcolm could have beat this dude, shot him, but he didn't. Malcolm is full of love now. Then what made the story so great, Moochie, I'm going to you first. He takes the device and walks over to the FBI that's surveilling him and said, "Take this to J. Edgar Hoover and tell him you're doing a horrible job of surveilling me because your dumbasses couldn't protect me from someone putting a device in my car to kill my wife." Moochie, break down that whole scenario because I loved every minute of that storyline.
Okay, so you want me to start from Ninja Turtle or we'll start from the letter?
You can start wherever
we'll start
you
from the
want to
letter.
start.
You show me the picture, we're going to go there.
Okay.
She was so passionate with telling him she will follow him, and she's ready to follow him when he starts his own chapter or whatever, his own mosque. So he was like, "No, I don't need you. I need you to be my eyes and ears in this." Now, I got another question for everybody in the chat.
Here we go.
Will police be discovered for being Malcolm's spy by the nation?
Probably. I mean, she's having dinner over there at the house.
And if she's discovered, are they going to kick her out?
Hell yeah.
Or are they going to kill her?
See, I think that this is the thing. They're not killing her.
No, they can't.
And I doubt they'll even put hands on her because if they do, Bumpy Johnson will burn down every mosque in the city.
Exactly. But they should also know that by killing Malcolm X, if Bumpy finds out that you killed his homeboy, he would still come after you. That's where I feel like they dropping the ball at. But go ahead, Mooch.
Now, with this, are we going from the letter to here? With this, when she said only a fool will follow a fool.
Now we need to see your eyes when you let us see your eyes.
She sat there she said her posture was great, so you could tell she looked them in the eye to make sure they know that she's with them. Only a fool will follow a fool, and a hypocrite. And I think once she said that, they believed her.
I believe
it. But the little one with the glasses in the back. Look how she looks at him. She's in love with him. Look how she looks at him.
Haters.
Look at how she looks at him. She's in love with him. I want to be like, shut up.
Yeah.
But she smacked her down by saying that you feel the same way I feel about Malcolm. She smacked her down.
Until they put that bug in their ears.
Exactly. So you, Larry.
Yeah, I thought this whole storyline was really, really interesting. I love the fact that the way sort of Elise just checked Betty when she was at the house. because when Betty was like, you love him, I can see it in your eyes, you love him. And she was like, I'm not even denying it. But she was like, it's not the kind of love that you think. She was like, he saved my life. You know, she was like, it was like she was trying to tell her, like, I'm not going to give you all my history because it's really not your business. But damn, I was on the streets as a damn junkie hoeing it up. And your husband saved my life. Yeah, I love him. I'm not going to deny that because of your own insecurities. You know, that was, I mean, to me, I just thought that was great. And, you know, and then all the other stuff that just went on to this episode that, you know, I mean, the whole scene with them at the mosque. I mean, I thought that was just really well executed. I mean, they really make the Fruits of Islam just seem terrible in this series, and they really do. They make them seem just completely scandalous and sort of just trifling in a lot of ways.
Just pure haters, my brother. Pure hater.
The scene that really got me was the one where Malcolm found the brother planting the bomb in his car. And it wasn't the scene where Malcolm put the bomb to the FBI agents that got me. It was the scene when Malcolm put the gun to the dude's head, and then he pulled it down. He pulled it away from the guy's head and said, "This is the car that I share with my wife. She puts my kids in this car." He was like, my wife and my kids. And then he broke it down. He was like, this is what the white man does. They divide us and they make us fight amongst each other so they don't have to do it. They don't have to fight us because they break us down and divide us and make us fight each other.
Is you listening, Chicago? Is you listening?
You gotta say it to all over,
every
ghetto in the city.
He was in there planting a bomb in Malcolm's car. He was so filled with hate that he wanted to kill this man, and he was in there planting a bomb. And Malcolm, with just a few sentences, broke this dude down, had him in tears, crying. And Malcolm let him go. He was like, I'm not going to kill you. I'm not going to put hands on you. You go. You know, do what you do. If this, you know, go get your mind right. Do what you do. I mean, if that's one of those moments that I think that dude probably just after that, he probably was. I don't even know if he was in the Nation of Islam after that, because I can't imagine after that you can go back and deal with those people in the same way. That's one of those inflection points in people's lives. There's everything that you've done before that just doesn't matter anymore. It's only what's happening moving forward that's going to matter in your life.
Exactly. Well said, Larry. Very well said. And very well said, Mooch, too. Like I said, every storyline from last night was just fire. I enjoyed all of them. It was must-see TV. And Mooch put me on some things because I was trying to jump in, jump out. And she was like, no, homeboy. No. In her New York accent. You better say blah, blah, blah. And I was like, Dale, let me sit my butt down and do what I got to do. So, ladies and gentlemen, now we're going to get to the main storyline. Bumpy and Chin, and man, I told y'all last week. What about
the club?
Oh, that's what we're going to start at. We're going to start at Club Geechee, the day of the Geechee. Ladies and gentlemen, I said last week, it seems like this relationship between Bumpy and Chin was going just way too well for me. Just going too well. And again,
can I just say one thing about this club first before you go any further? They need better mops. They need better mops.
It's the 1960s.
Yeah, man.
It's the 1960s.
Yeah, man. They didn't have those electronic joints running around there, did
they didn't even have the sponge mops.
So
they need something. They need some better mops.
So the friendship is going so well between Bumpy and Chin that Chin is just kicking it with Bumpy at Club Geechee. You know, loving it, clapping, seeing the money moving, seeing the women, just having a good old damn time.
And they're making jokes. Bumpy's talking about, you should get a club too. And if you get it upstairs, you can call it Double Chins.
Right. And just, you know what? They always say in basketball, wins solves all problems. And in real life, money solves most of your problems, especially with strange bedfellows. And these two are doing more than just making money. They're actually bonding. That's what you're seeing here. And here's the thing about Chin, ladies and gentlemen. Let me put this back up here and talk about Chin for a minute. Chin is not really respected by any of the Italian mob bosses. They look at him as just a damn driver. They look at him as a hothead. They look at him as incompetent. That's how they look at him. Bumpy knows that, and that's why Bumpy is treating him so well. Bumpy is treating this man like he is pure gold and silver, and Chin ain't really used to that. And he's getting all this from a man that's supposed to be a nigger.
Banano and the other, I got his name. It's Magliglio.
Magliglio.
They both looked at Chin like he was beneath them.
Exactly.
Like, and so, who are you? You're just a driver.
Right. And so that leads us into this storyline. So Bumpy has devised this plan and got Chin working with him. They're making money hand over fist. And now all the other Italian mob bosses, they want in on this action. So Banano thinks he's smart as hell, comes up with a plan with Galiglio, his buddy. And Bumpy is way 3-4 steps ahead of him. So from that point, Moochie, I'm going to go ahead and give it to you. Break down the whole main storyline. And by the way, Moochie, this is for you. This is the real Bumpy Johnson.
Okay. He's not bad looking.
Yeah, there you go. And
he's
for
a
you,
nice
Larry,
chocolate fellow.
This is what 5Gs would be in 2020. Almost $41,000.
Like I said, I told you it was a lot of money.
That ain't a lot of money.
That's a lot of money in the 60s to a black woman that's a maid.
True. I mean, I will give you that, but there's other dynamics that go with that money.
But here's the thing about Lamont. My parents bought their first house in 1971 in a lily white suburb in Southern California. That was pretty upper middle class, and it cost $25,000. So now you think about
what was their interest rate?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, interest rates were astronomical at the time.
Yeah. So by the time you add up that interest rate, that 25 G's balloons to about $80,000 if they paid it over the course.
Maybe so, but my point being is that you take back in the 60s and you give someone $5,000, they can go to a lot of other places in the country and buy a house cash for that. Cash. I mean, California is it has been one of the most expensive places to live in the country, and it's still in the world, really, for that matter. It still is.
Not to cut you off, but she was talking about going to Ohio anyway.
She could have bought a house.
If we're gonna elaborate on it, she had family there. She could buy a house and her whole family could move in there and they could put into the pot and live happily ever after.
We'll see.
No, we're not gonna know that. I think she's not gonna leave. I don't
either.
I think she's gonna be dumb just like her son and leave and come back.
We're not done with her, but Moochie, finish your storyline, because by the way, people, before we get off this thing, the trailer review for Venom came out, and we've got to watch that when we're done with this. So Moochie, start your diatribe on the storyline with Bumpy and Chin.
Okay, well, I like the fact that Bumpy was 2 steps ahead of him by having his boys follow him. He had Del and Nat follow him. And when they followed him, they saw Banano go from, Magliglio go from one back and forth, so he knew something was up.
Yep.
So I like that part. And then with him coming here saying he's going to make the deal with 60-40, he was lying through his teeth. He knew he was lying, though. Because a couple of weeks ago, you was like, I don't do business with the N-word. Am I right or wrong?
That's what he said.
I don't do business. But now that you see that Chin is making money hand over fist, now you want to come back?
Yeah.
And now that you got this clip up, he was gonna go with the program, Chin, at this moment, until he pulled out that picture and started making fun of him about the hat and the chauffeur thing.
Yeah, man.
That's what like was like, you really not my friend.
He was even talking about the man wife too.
Yeah.
I was, bruh, come on, man.
He said his wife is out of shape and got bags under his eyes, so he was already jealous of him.
Yeah,
like how your wife look good and you just a chauffeur.
Damn, boy. And when you start bringing in that kind of money, you get an ego about yourself too. Don't let nobody fool y'all. These billionaires got some of the biggest egos you're gonna find on the planet. I don't care how squirrely they look. They might look like they don't think they can go fight a lion, but you drop them in there and say they need to make this money, they will fight a damn lion. Larry, I'm throwing the lob up to you. Break down this storyline, the parts that you liked and what was interesting to you.
Yeah, I think it was interesting in a lot of ways. One of them was that we got to see Bonanno in a lot of ways come crawling back to Bumpy, because that had to hurt his spirit to have to come back to him saying, I made a mistake. You were right. We should have done this. I should have partnered with you, but he didn't. And then he tried to be funny with him when it all came down, tried to offer Bumpy like 5% or some ridiculousness like that, you know. Yeah. But we also get to see that Chin, in a lot of ways, and I feel like this is something that we see often in this country and probably other places as well, is that Chin is the low man on the totem pole. And so the only way that Chin can try and make himself feel better is by trying to knock someone else down. Because Chin, in a lot of ways, is just one rung above a nigga. And that's only because he's Italian and the Italian dudes accept him because he's Italian. But they don't really like him, and they only accept him because of their rules. And somehow he managed to get in there with playing within their rules. But they don't like
him. Larry, notice how the cast and the writing strategically has Chin dressed like this, but all the other gangsters are always in a 3-piece Armani suit.
Right, they're always G'd up, looking right, and Chin always has on, just a regular old sort of everyday, I'm a dad at a barbecue on Saturday afternoon sort of button-down shirt and like a members-only jacket.
Yeah. His ass always look like he going to bowl.
Yeah, exactly. He looks like he's about to go to bowling night. Exactly. And
I'm sorry.
That's exactly right. And they don't like him. And Chin at the same time, I gotta give him props where he's kind of like, man, F them dudes. He hasn't allowed them to change him. He's sort of just who he is in a lot of ways. But I think, and we see from the way that he's with Bumpy and the way he is now with Bumpy, I don't think he, like, all that racial hostility that he has, I don't think that's truly in his heart. I think he does that because he feels like it elevates him more. I think he feels like if I knock down Bumpy, then it makes me look like I'm a little bit bigger. But the very moment that he felt like he was a little bit better, a little bit above the rest of the families, he was like, man, F these motherfuckers. He's up in the black club, chilling with Bumpy, having drinks, having a good time, making jokes with him, because I don't think he really felt all that stuff, but he felt, he's a typical petty person in a lot of ways, where he feels like if I knock somebody else down, I'll be a little bit taller. Not that it actually does that, but I think that's where that's where his mind's been at. And now that he feels like he's a little bit above the rest of the families, he doesn't feel the need to knock down Bumpy anymore. He likes Bumpy,
Now, here's a question I got for both of you guys. This is the final scene. All right. Bumpy basically tells Bonanno, F you. They've also got the Connect guy sitting at the table with his driver, the black dude. We'll call him Jeffrey Butler. And
you want to know his name?
Yeah, go for it.
It's Monsieur, the black guy, and the other guy's named Gene.
Gene and Monsieur.
Yeah, from my book.
Almost like I'm trying to say Muchella, but Monsieur. Monsieur.
Yeah, it's just Mister.
Yeah, Mister. Yeah. Forget all this proper Mister. Yeah, Mister. Anyway, Mister sitting there with Gene, And Bonanno think that he's in a power position, and all that rage, all that unfiltered, y'all really don't give a damn about me, came out of Chin when he gets up and shoots, what's this cat's name? Glicko. When he shoots Glicko right in the head, and then Bumpy grabs out his razor blade that he loves to kill people with, puts it to the neck of Bonanno, and like, you ain't gonna tell nobody nothing. My people, I got a feeling this shit is gonna come back to bite them in the butt.
If it comes back, then they know that he tried to make the side deal.
But I agree with you on that. But Bumpy is still the black dude up in all this.
I mean,
and Glicko had, and if you remember listening to them, he also had relationships with rival Italian mobs outside of New York that he was trying to merge together. And I don't know how much value that would be to the borough Italian mobs, but it doesn't seem like Glicko was very low on the totem pole. He was up there.
He got bumped up, though.
True.
See, here's the thing. I think
Chin is supposed to get. He's supposed to get, the families to agree to kill people within the mob bosses, and he didn't. He just stood up, shot him in the head, and they basically are holding Bonanno hostage. So, Larry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that the other families is not. I mean, basically, they would want to probably kill them both, but
right, exactly.
I think ultimately they would have less of an issue through all of this with Bumpy than they would with Chin, because Chin is one of their own, and they don't expect Bumpy to live by their code, by their rules, because he's not one of the families. He's not part of this thing of ours, as they say, and so they're not going to expect him to live by that same code. It's sort of like what they do this thing. The writers do this thing where they basically talk about these codes and do parallel stories on both sides on all the episodes. But they talked about it with the Nation of Islam, where they said that a non-believer is worse than, or not, excuse me, I forgot what the phrase they used when they were talking about with Malcolm, but they were saying that he's worse than a non-believer, because a non-believer isn't lying to you, or a non-believer isn't leading you astray. He's just a non-believer. He just doesn't know any better. Whereas it's sort of the same thing here. It's like Chin is worse than Bumpy in this situation, because Bumpy owes them no loyalty. Bumpy is an outsider, but Chin is one of their own, and Chin just blasted dude. So I think they might be more inclined to cut, Bumpy some slack than Chin, But considering who they are and what they are, I don't think they'll cut any of them. So they'll want to kill them both.
Exactly. Go ahead, Moochie. Not to mention all that money they bringing in. Go ahead, Moochie.
I have a rebuttal for the first thing you said about Bumpy. Okay, remember he got caught. He was coming out of jail from last season because he didn't drop dime on them.
Right.
So he knows the rules.
No. That's not the rules for the mafia. That's just the rule. That's just the code of the streets. You just don't rat. That's just the streets. That has nothing to do with the mafia.
Okay. All right. I still beg to differ. But as far as Chin, he might this may come back to haunt him, for the simple fact is he killed a made man without having to sit down.
That's all I'm saying.
And my question for the night to the chat is, will Bonanno keep Bumpy's secret? Bumpy and Vincent Chin's secret?
Hell no. I answer that for you.
I have the question.
Hell no.
If you want to elaborate, please elaborate so we can discuss it further.
Hell no.
No, he's not going to keep it.
No, the minute he feels safe, and I do mean the hot New York minute he feels safe, he's going to be singing like a mockingbird. No, he's not. No.
He'll keep the secret for a little while, but then the rest of the families are going to kind of get suspicious. Like, why aren't you speaking out against this? Why aren't you saying something? And then they're finally going to press him on it, and eventually it's going to come out. I mean, they're going to have to do something, because just within a matter of, what, 2 weeks now. You have 2 made men that have been killed, and
That's what I was gonna say, because
no one knows
he's
what
doing
happened.
this and he doesn't know what happened with Ernie, Stella and Ernie killing the other boy. But then again, that guy is from his team, so he might get away with that one.
Mm-hmm. By the way, before I forget, Kobe
Billy
James
with his team
coming through with 2 super chats, y'all. Not one,
Big
but
ups.
2 super chats. Bumpy just watched Chin shoot his friend of 20 years cold. Hey, you know what? And $1 Million Man said everybody has a price. And apparently this relationship that they have going on right now is the price. I don't know how much money they're making, but they're making a lot of money.
But here's the thing. It wasn't just about money for Chin, because Chin looked at it and it was like, I've been your friend for 20 years, but I realized you haven't been mine. Because dude said, as soon as this thing happens, the first time something happens, you don't come to me. We've been friends. You were in my wedding, and you don't come to me. The first thing you do is run to Bonanno and talk to him. He was like, I expected better of you, because forget about the business side of this crap. Forget about the gangster shit. We're supposed to be friends. That's not what friends do,
Exactly. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've got 80 people watching. Can we get 80 likes, 80 comments? But more importantly, can we get 80 shares? If y'all share our content, push our messages, and we need 80 people to go subscribe to Moochella's channel. She's got a channel. She's putting up City on the Hill, and we will be bringing her back. Announced today. I had no idea. Moochie wants to join us for the Shy. So Moochie will be back for the Shy. And when Marvel come back, we'll kick her off then. How about that?
And tonight, after this, I will be on my channel with birthday girl Nita the Diva, and we will be talking about Pose. If you want to talk about Pose, that's what
I haven't watched season. This is what, season 3 or 4?
The final season.
Yeah,
we're talking about that tonight, and I hope everybody will join us. It's Nita's birthday. Let's give the girl a shout out. Love you, Nita.
There is a on Pose. There is one of those trans chicks on there that if you didn't know she was trans, you would never know.
There's more than one of them that's like that on there.
Now there's only one for me. The other ones I can tell, but there's one on there that's like the Puerto Rican chick. You would never,
Angel.
Yeah, Angel. You would never know unless somebody told you. Looks like a straight up biological woman.
Mm-hmm. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that'll conclude us for Bumpy Johnson episode 4. This show is fire. I don't understand why we're not getting more people watching the show coming to YouTube for the reviews. We holding it down. This show is every bit as good as Snowfall and Power. Tell your friends, tell your cousins, tell everybody. You've got some YouTubers who are reviewing that show, and we love it.
I got one more question, y'all.
Moochie.
Do you think if this show goes to enough seasons where they end up bringing in Frank Lucas as a spinoff? Because I think that is such a good idea.
Here's the thing. This is Mia Miles' comment as well. It would be awesome they brought in Frank Lucas from American Gangster.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, that would be the perfect transition. That'd be the perfect segue for the show to move out of the Bumpy Johnson era into a whole new storyline that you can run with Frank Lucas.
However,
because they can even touch on that and Nikki Barnes too.
I don't know if they would do it because the honest to goodness truth, y'all know Mamie Johnson, Bumpy Johnson's wife, lived till she was 94. So she was living when American Gangster came out, and they interviewed her. She said that everything that you saw in terms of the relationship Frank Lucas had with Bumpy Johnson was all fictitious.
Wow.
She said Frank never spent a night at Bumpy's house. Frank wasn't even there when Bumpy died in the hospital. I mean, fell out in the restaurant. She found out from she found out from the guy. When you guys watch Bumpy's show now, the guy that was driving last night, following around Bonanno and them, that's who alerted her that Bumpy.
So it was that was Dell.
Dale. That's the one who alerted her that Bumpy had fell out in the restaurant. And so she really said that they did not have a close relationship. It was nothing really going on. He was just a dumb ass driver, is what she said her husband called him. Now, that don't matter in terms of where we're at from a story narrative.
I mean,
because
if she's gone now, they're gonna do what they want with it.
Well, they would, whether she was alive or not, they would have done it because she was alive when they made American Gangster. They didn't give a damn. So,
but he was alive still too.
Who? Bumpy Johnson?
No, Frank Lucas.
Yeah. Frank Lucas was alive, but Bumpy was dead. Mamie was alive.
They said, well, I saw a documentary where they was talking about he was being extra with a lot of stuff, and the cop, the guy that played the police officer, was kind of he thought it was going to be his story. Right.
Yep. So,
well, part of the problem is, you could move it over to the whole, Frank Lucas thing. The problem, I think, that you end up trying to do that is that with this story, you have an intersection of like four beloved characters where you have Bumpy Johnson and Malcolm X and Adam Clayton Powell and Muhammad Ali. You have all these great, just iconic Black American figures. And I don't feel like you get that with Frank Lucas. With Frank Lucas' story, you get Frank Lucas, and
you
that's
could.
Kind of it.
You could, if they wanted to put it in there, because now Bumpy was a bigger, I don't even want to say bigger, because in terms of how much money these dudes pushed, it was very close. However, Bumpy was more of a social activist than Frank ever was. But Frank did have his run-ins with a couple of politicians, and he had some run-ins with some other Black athletes. But that was the extent of his real life narrative. You could dramatize the hell out of it, though, because this is dramatized a little bit, too.
Right.
Yeah, they got a disclaimer in the beginning of it.
Right, this is dramatized. So people will keep you guys posted on that. The nerd in me has to introduce you guys to some comic stuff. So today, we got the Venom trailer, and we're about to watch it right now and react to it. Sit back, get your popcorn ready, and let's take a look. Give it a second.
There we go.
Oh, Lord.
I say either. You guys say either. I say neither. And I say neither.
Oh, God. Please don't try to turn this into a comedy.
Let's call the whole thing off. Ta-da! Catch up.
Excuse me.
Yummy.
Good evening, Eddie.
Hey, Mrs. Chen.
Good evening, Venom.
Function how, Mrs. Chen?
He says hi.
One is the loneliest number that you'll ever
I can live with that.
I've been thinking about you, Eddie.
Two can be as bad as one. It's the loneliest number.
Because you and I are the same. Every decision we ever make, who do we leave behind?
Spider-Man?
And how do we leave them? Waiting in the darkness for the rescuer who never comes. Welcome back, Eddie Brock. It's been a long time. Miss you so much. Soon come chaos. Chaos soon come.
Oh,
Is the loneliest number that you'll ever do.
Let there
The
be
chocolate
carnage.
delivery hasn't arrived yet.
No!
We had a deal.
What's gonna happen? You gonna stop protecting me?
I am happy to eat, Mrs. Chen.
No, you cannot eat, Mrs. Chen. What? Nothing?
I'm here for it.
Oh, I'm here for it too.
I'm here for it.
I would have liked for them to give me just a little bit more of what Carnage is going to do, because I know y'all don't follow comics as hard as I do, but can either one of you guys tell me what is the difference between Venom and Carnage?
One's good, one's bad.
Absolutely not. They're Carnage is more crazy and evil, but Venom typically is a bad guy too. And so I'll say this: I enjoyed the Venom movie. I was worried because you give Sony stuff, man. It's helter skelter, but I was worried. But I enjoyed the Venom movie. I did, and I think this movie will be good because Carnage is your typical run-of-the-mill deranged character, but his Venom suit, if you will, makes sharp objects the same way Hela did in Thor Ragnarok, where she puts out knives and shit. Venom does the same thing. Now
in the first one, not to cut you off, I wanted to ask. In the first one, you remember the one he killed? Wasn't he doing that too?
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Because he was even scared of him, Venom. Like, nah, he's stronger than me.
Yeah, he is. But Carnage is that dude, though. So I don't know how he's supposed to deal with this unless they're going to bring in Spider-Man, which I'm thinking they have to bring in Spider-Man. Are they really going to try to contain this story to just Venom and Carnage?
They might. And Bud was asking about how's Venom going to get a movie out before Black Widow, and that's because they're from different studios. So
Venom ain't coming out before Black Widow.
But even if they did, part of it would be because Venom is from Sony and Black Widow's from Disney.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And supposedly they had created a deal where, Sony's already created a deal where they're letting Marvel use Spider-Man. They're exchanging toy rights and all that. Supposedly Spider-Man is supposed to pop in some of the Venom movies. It would be perfect timing if it was this movie, Venom gets his ass beat, and it ends with Venom losing, and we see Spider-Man popping in to have to help. That would make me smile.
Yeah. They might do that. That maybe they did that, and they're not going to show it because they don't want to show too much.
Yeah, well, this is just the first trailer. They're going to show more of Carnage. They're going to show more of that. But folks, post your comments down below, my people. We enjoyed you guys. I'm glad to be back. Me and Larry will be back up here going nuts on Wednesday on everything going on in the world. We got jokes on everybody. We don't pull no punches. Everybody. So be sure to subscribe to Moochie's channel, Nita's channel, Larry's channel, mine. Comment, share. Join me on Instagram if you've got other shows you watch, other things that we might have missed in this review. And that's going to do it for this video. Don't forget to like the video, comment, subscribe, get that life game. Till that next Sex is Hell video, we'll see you guys Wednesday.
Peace, y'all.
Later.
Peace.